We all judge a book by its cover. But what about a company? What if I told you about a company called Solar Industries? Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Well, today we're going to crack open their annual report, and trust me, what's inside is absolutely not what you're thinking. And look at this. This comment from an online forum, it just hits the nail on the head. It points to this really fascinating story, almost like a puzzle that investors are trying to solve. You've got intrigue, you got high-tech stuff, and just a fundamental misunderstanding of what this company even is. So, yeah, it begs the question, right? What does a company called Solar Industries actually do? I mean, your mind immediately goes to solar panels, renewable energy, all that good green tech stuff. But what if that was just completely and totally wrong? Yeah, forget everything you just thought, forget solar panels. Instead, I want you to think industrial explosives, the kind that literally power a nation's infrastructure. Think rocket propellants for missiles like the BrahMos. And get this, even advanced suicide drones. This is a company that's been hiding in plain sight. So how does a company like this even operate, right? Okay, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll tackle that misleading name. Then we'll dig into what they really do. We'll look at their huge move into defense, uncover a pretty surprising twist, and then, of course, see what it all means for the bottom line. All right, first up, that name. Seriously, you could almost call it the perfect camouflage. I mean, for a company that operates in some of the most critical and, frankly, sensitive industries in the entire world, Solar Industries is a brilliant disguise. And this slide really lays out that huge disconnect. On one side, you've got what everyone thinks. On the other, you have the reality. They're not harnessing the sun's energy at all. Nope. They're creating and controlling just immense amounts of power, but through chemical energy. So where did a business like this even start? Well, every huge company has a foundation, right? That one core business that keeps the lights on and pays the bills. For Solar Industries, that foundation is industrial explosives. Okay, so who on earth is buying all these explosives? Well, think of it as the literal groundwork for building a country. Every single time a new road gets blasted through a mountain, or a quarry needs to get to essential minerals, or a new dam is being built, their products are right there. They are a key piece of national progress, especially for big initiatives like India's Make in India push. And just to put that into perspective, they supply over 600,000 metric tons of this stuff. We're not talking about a small-time operation here. This is the industrial beast, the financial engine that funds everything else, especially their move into those super advanced, high-tech sectors we talked about. Right. And that powerful industrial base is what funds the most shocking part of their business: defense. This is where the story gets really wild. This is where Solar Industries goes from being a big industrial supplier to a cutting-edge global defense and aerospace powerhouse. So let's just talk numbers for a second because they're pretty staggering. Their defense order book is sitting at over 15,000 crore rupees. Let me be super clear here. This is not a side hustle for them. It is a massive strategic pillar of the entire company's future. And a huge chunk of that money, it comes from major domestic contracts, like this one, over 6,000 crores just for the Pinaka multiple rocket launcher system. That tells you everything you need to know about the level of trust they've built with the Indian government. But here's the kicker. They're not just a domestic player. Over 8,500 crores of their orders are for export. They're becoming a really significant player on the world stage, sending high-tech defense gear to countries all over the world. And they're not just selling old tech either. They're innovating at the highest level. They developed something called the Nagastra-1, which is a loitering munition. So what is that? Think of it like a smart drone, a suicide drone that can fly to a target area, just hang out and wait for the perfect moment, and then attack. And here's the amazing part. They were the first private Indian company to ever get an order for one. Now, this kind of rapid rise doesn't happen by accident. It was a very strategic journey. It really kicked off around 2016 when they started making propellants for world-class missiles, like the BrahMos. From there, they just methodically built up their capabilities. First grenades, then warheads, and now they're building these incredible advanced unmanned systems. Okay, so let's recap. We have a company that makes explosives and advanced weapons. You'd be totally forgiven for thinking their annual report is just page after page of profit margins and firepower. But, well, that's where the next big surprise is hiding. This is where the story takes another really interesting turn, because right alongside all that heavy industry and defense tech, you find this really serious, fully documented commitment to environmental, social, and governance principles. ESG. It's a contrast that, frankly, you just wouldn't expect to see. And the numbers are actually pretty impressive. Their own annual report points out that 82% of their waste is managed responsibly, 20% of their energy is from renewables, and maybe the most striking part, they report zero environmental incidents and zero complaints of sexual harassment. I mean, come on, that is not the typical profile you'd expect from a heavy industrial company like this. And that same thinking extends to their people and the community. They've spent over 37 crores on corporate social responsibility. They've invested over 100,000 hours in safety training. For an industry that is so inherently high risk, it really seems like they're taking this zero harm commitment very, very seriously. All right, so how does this all add up on the bottom line? I mean, with all the high-tech weapons and the green initiatives, it still has to work as a business, right? So let's take a look at their financial performance and the big risks they're up against. And yeah, it definitely does. In the last financial year, they brought in over 7,500 crore rupees in revenue, and their profit after tax, nearly 1,300 crore. So yes, this is a very, very profitable company. But of course, it's not all smooth sailing. It's a story of balancing opportunities against threats. On one hand, the opportunities are massive. You've got global defense spending going up, India's infrastructure boom. But the threats are just as real. We're talking fierce competition, the risk of economic downturns, unpredictable prices for raw materials, and of course, the safety risks that are just built into this industry. And that really brings us to the final big question. Solar Industries is just a fascinating contradiction, isn't it? A company named for the sun that deals in explosives, a major defense contractor that also champions sustainability. They really paint this complex, modern picture of what an industrial giant can look like today. And it leaves you wondering, doesn't it, about that tricky balance between power, profit, and purpose.